Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience, and happy Father's Day to all those fathers and father types. We're so glad you're here with us today. John Gardner is our songbird for this morning. Yay. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
My soul is welcome. Your soul is welcome. Our souls are welcome here.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here.
Your soul.
My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here.
Don't you know that
My soul is welcome here.
Yeah.
My soul is welcome. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Good morning. Reverend Deborah, good to see you this morning.
Good morning,
And
Reverend
everyone
James.
else.
It's good to see you. And happy Father's Day. And that is an amazing, that must be a Father's Day tie.
It is Father's Day tie. It was a tie made by some young, it was actually a drawing for some young kids, and then they made it into a tie. And then they sell the tie for Save the Children. So I'm celebrating them. All righty.
It's beautiful. And we greet you this morning in the name of all that is good, all that is sacred, and all that is holy, and in the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, churches, stone circles, and of course, the beautiful temples of nature, because we know that there is no space that God does not grace. And if you're with us for the very first time today, either watching us online or here in person, we especially want to welcome you because we know that you are not here by accident. We are all here by
Divine appointment.
And we're very excited to be together today on this Father's Day. And we are also very happy and relieved when you silence your electronic devices. And please refrain from flash photography during the service.
Well, let's take a moment to connect with that presence. A presence that's known by many different names. Some, Jesus called it Abba, which meant Father, which is really a presence that is with us always, that can never leave us or forsake us. It contains all the qualities of peace and love and joy and wisdom and health and wholeness and vitality and vigor, imagination, and all that's good and perfect. And we contain and radiate all of these qualities ourselves because we come from this one presence. So we're grateful to say to ourselves and to everyone that this presence and I and all of us are one. As we go forth in our life, we lean on this presence in times of challenge. For it is changeless, always supporting us, uplifting us, moving us forward, pointing us to the highest and best of what we can be and what we are in truth. So we're grateful to let this presence be expressed through and as us in our life, in every thought we have, every word we speak, every action that we take as we go forth and manifest and radiate and anchor in this world the all good. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Well, we have a very important purpose and mission here at Spiritual Life Center that's reflected in our mission statement. As we affirm it together, let's embody it. To transform lives, to make a positive difference in the world, as we love, serve, and remember. And we carry out that mission as we live out and live these 5 basic unity principles, universal principles, more accurately, in our life. And then, again, let's affirm them together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action.
And we've got some really fun wow action this week. Finding Your Inner Voice, a musical journey with Cameron Lawson. Now, most of you, if you know Cameron, you either know him from YOU or from being primarily our sound tech in the booth. And he is an accomplished musician. He's worked with his family for years. And I asked him if he'd be willing to do something for us. And so he said, yeah, I'd like to get back into doing my own music. And so he has a lot of experience leading YOU groups in music. So he's going to bring his adult version to us on Wednesday night, and we're going to sit, and he's going to have us sing together. And I don't know what else he's got planned, but I am so excited to have him stepping up into this role. So Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, and of course the community meal is at 7.
And I know it's going to be outstanding. And let's see, we had a number of other events taking place between now and September and beyond. First is our Alive and Thriving Bingo that's going to take place on Friday, July the 14th. It's going to be in person here at Spiritual Life Center. So we just invite you to save the date. And we have a calendar full of events that are taking place, and you can get that calendar at the hub, and you also see it on our website. I think we have something printed out that you can take with you, put on your refrigerator, have it in front of you so you know what's going on here at Spiritual Life Center.
And I believe we're going to reveal it next week as well.
Okay,
so,
very good.
Yeah. And if you're a Laurel and Hardy fan, the Laurel and Hardy group, A Fine Mess, is having their movie showing this afternoon, and they're showing Sons of the Desert. I'm sorry, it's next week. They're showing it next week on the 25th. So you can plan for next week. Why would they do it on Father's Day? Okay. Anyway, you don't need a reservation. You can just show up and have the fun. And they show that movie from 1 to 3:30 over here in the annex.
And today, if you're interested in becoming more involved in Spiritual Life Center, understanding what it means to be a member of Spiritual Life Center, just want to know more about who we are, and you want to get more engaged, and you're new to the community, we're going to have an information session today at 1 o'clock. That's going to be in the chapel that's across the hall over there. And so you can attend in person and also check us out by Zoom if you want to do that and not able to be here in person. So we invite those who are interested in just learning more about Spiritual Life Center and who we are, what we're about, and how you can get more engaged.
And I believe that Zoom link is on our website.
It's on our website,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, so remember, there are many activities that foster transformation in our lives here at Spiritual Life Center. So check out our small groups and other offerings, happenings at SLC are all on the website. If you're here in person, you can go out to the courtyard, look at the bulletin board, go chat with the ladies at the hub, and find out what's going on, and if there's something to sign up for, you can sign up for it.
And of course, one of the things that folks that come to Spiritual Life Center do is connect with one another and just do so, whether it's in a class, a workshop, a social activity. And that's one of the benefits of being part of a spiritual community. But you don't have to wait for an event to happen. You can start connecting with someone right here and right now. So I invite you to turn to a friend or a neighbor and just in a manner that feels comfortable for you, just greet them and say, "You are marvelous and glad you are here."
is a song that we always did by Richard Burdick. You guys know this. Sing along with us. Here we go.
Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. That you may know my faith, and I may know your grace. Well, Holy God, move in me.
Holy presence.
Holy presence, live as me. Will holy presence live as me? May it be an open vessel, the channel of your dreams. Holy presence, live as me. I put my faith into action, and know you're good in all I see. Powerful beyond measure, with an awesome God moving through me. Well, Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. That you may know my faith, and I may know your grace. Holy God, move in me.
Here we go again.
I put my faith into action, and know you're good in all I see. I'm powerful beyond measure, with an awesome God moving through me. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me. That you may know my faith, and I may know your grace. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me.
Okay, big ending.
Holy God, move in
That was beautiful.
Yes, it was, John. It was. All right. As we begin to prepare for the contemplative portion of our service, I invite us all to speak aloud together our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. Now we're going to affirm that we know and feel in our hearts and souls that there is only one of us. There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. Sing along with us. There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. You are my reflection. There is only one.
There is only one. Take a breath and relax deeply into your chair. And in the next few moments, take a few breaths. Drop your shoulders, relax your hands in your lap. Relax your eyelids. And allow your consciousness to drift up into a light daydream. You're standing on a busy street corner. Cars whiz by, people walk, jostling your elbow or running into packages you might be holding. And what you really need is quiet to regain your composure. Maybe have a short talk with God about some things. Across the street, you see a park. And so you weave through the cars stalled in the traffic jam and make your way toward a stand of tall, green trees. As you stroll along the path leading into the park, the noise recedes and you are able to relax a little. And then the trees begin to slowly resolve into an emerald green mist dancing in the middle of your path. And as you come nearer, the mist gently reaches out, gathering itself around you, embracing you, welcoming you. Emerald-colored air gently swirls around you, clearing your mind and emotions, filling your heart center with peace. It's like coming home. And now the mist slowly fades away, and you see that you're in a beautiful park. The sky is deep blue, the temperature is perfect. And it's quieter here, but there's still a lot of activity. Birds sing and flutter, the breeze sways the trees. Squirrels argue and chatter at blue jays. Crows complain about, well, everything. And that small sense of coming home stays with you, making you want a deeper quiet, a chance to open up to your God. And you notice a lilac bush that is in full bloom, and beside it, there's a bench, perfect for meditation. As you near the lilac bush, it begins to resolve into beautiful violet mist. And it dances and floats in front of you. You feel it sending out gentle tendrils of violet energy as you approach. And again, the light invites you in. And you walk right into that mist, into deeper quiet. And again, it feels like home. The violet light dances and swirls around you, removing any lingering anxiety or concern. You are calm. You are clear. You are centered. The violet begins to slow its dance, and as it winds down, it softly, gently dissipates, and you are encircled in pure white light. There is no motion, no sound, no separation. There is only pure consciousness. In this moment, you release yourself and open to the pure light pouring into you in the deep, deep silence. You are full. You are secure. You are loved. You are one. Take a breath or two and gently rise out of the silence. And as you become aware of your physical body, receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, this place of silence and light is your real home. Here is your safety, your support, your essence, your power, your love emanate from here. It never changes. It never stops. Come home whenever you want. The light is always on, ready to welcome you with open arms. Remember this, always.
Sometimes on this journey, I get lost in my mistakes. What looks to me like weakness is canvas for your strength. And my story isn't over, my story's just begun. And failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. I said failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house, check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Arrival's not the end game, that's where the journey starts. You never wanted perfect, you just wanted my heart. And the story isn't over if the story isn't good. And failure's never final when the Father's in the room. And failure's never final when the Father's in the room. Lay your burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house, check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Yeah. is on the move when the Father's in the room. Prison doors fling wide, the dead come to life. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Miracles take place, the cynical find faith. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. The Jericho's walls are quaking, strongholds are shaking. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. I said, love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause you ain't welcome anymore.
Thank you, John, Paula. In your Father's house. The love is in the room when you're in the Father's house. No shame. Shame is left at the door. I don't remember all the words, but it sounded good because it reminded me of something. You know, years ago, I was finishing up a talk. Folks said, you know, meet them at the receiving line, and there was someone there for the very first time, and they came up to me and said, you know, I can't come back here anymore. I said, okay, you got my attention. And I said, well, why is that? He said, because I just don't feel guilty when I leave here like I do with these other places that I used to go to. I used to feel bad, and I'm missing that. I said, well, you're preferably in the wrong place. You know, I think about that because we are part of a teaching or a theology. There's a theology of joy. You know, there's lots of theisms. There's lots of theologies, and I think we have a theology of joy, in my view, because I think we know in our soul there's one presence, one power, and this presence is always supporting us no matter what we're going through or growing through. You know, I was thinking about my father who passed away quite a while ago, and for some reason, this incident popped up in my mind. I was playing some matches at home one day, and I set the kitchen on fire. And I was worried about what my father was going to do or say when he got home, but he has just said, well, do you think that was a good thing to do? And I said, well, no. And he said, well, just don't do that anymore, and let's go out and do whatever we're going to do. Just unconditional positive regard. And I think when we realize it is a presence that's supporting us no matter what we may think we have done, it's impossible to kind of be down in the mouth or upset even when things are going wrong in our life. Even when things don't appear to go the way that we want them to do. Because there's something that we can contact, that we can call the presence, that brings out this inner joy, this inner peace, and then something can take us over. Well, today is Father's Day, and we extend a joyous and happy Father's Day to all the fathers that may be out there, as well as the mothers who played that role, you know, because many mothers have played the role of mother and father. So we thank them as well. And of course, you know, sometimes speaking on the topic of Father's Day, sometimes like on Mother's Day, it's a little tricky because, you know, there are a few people who say, well, you know, I didn't have a positive example of a father in my life. Or that person may have passed away very early, or maybe that person was, you know, didn't know who they were somewhat abusive, and whatever the case may be, and not everyone had a positive role model in their life. But I believe the master teacher, Jesus, gave us another way to see this presence that we call Father when he said, call no man on earth your father. You have one Father that you cannot see. It's an energy, it's a presence, it's a positive force that is always there for us. and we're here to realize our oneness and connection with it. So as I think about what to share today, I kept thinking about this parable, the parable that most of us are familiar with, the story of the prodigal son. You know, it's a parable that includes a father and his two sons and the relationship between and amongst all of them, and the symbolic meaning of that story. And so we know that whenever we read stories or parables, that we have to put ourselves in the picture because they're reflecting something about us. You know, our perspective on, reading these stories, the names mean something. The events always symbolize something about us. They're not something out there or some historical event. So I'm going to talk about just a summary of the story of the prodigal son. Most of us are familiar with it. Maybe it bears repeating. This is my version of it. Anyway, as I read the story, I imagine how it really went. It was go back in time, and I think Jesus is kind of having folks sit around the campfire. I don't know if they had a campfire, but it's in my mind. And he tells them a time that a young man was filled with ambition, and he was very restless. He wanted to go out and conquer the world and get out of that small town he was in. And he asked his father, I know you got some money for me. I don't want to have to wait for it. Give me my inheritance right now. And I imagine the father looked at him, and he had a lot of wisdom. He said, well, okay. And so he gave him the inheritance, and he set off on his journey, the prodigal, and looking for adventure, looking for freedom, went up into the far country, we might call it La La Land today. And he indulged in a lot of excess and pleasures and riotous living, and he squandered all of his wealth. He partied, he made a lot of bad choices. And then the time was up, and, he said, I have no more money. And, of course, when the money ran out, so did all the people that he called his friends. They disappeared, too. And he had to be willing to eat, what the pigs did not want to leave for themselves. But even the people that had the pigs wouldn't let him do that. And the story says that at some point he came to himself. And he decided that he was going to return to his father, and he was rehearsing in his mind a speech. And he was going to tell his father, Dad, I screwed up. He didn't say screwed up, but this is a family setting. And I no longer deserve to be called your father, your son, I should say. At least you can do is hire me back as a servant, as you do all the other servants. And he was going to seek forgiveness. He was going to seek acceptance, and he had a very heavy heart. And he went back with guilt and shame and regret, and he was beating himself up quite a bit, and he made the journey back home, hoping that he would get some small amount of redemption. And then something surprising happened. As he approached home, his father saw him from a distance, and he ran up to him and simply embraced him. And he was overwhelmed with joy, and the father welcomed his lost son back with open arms, and he expressed unconditional love of forgiveness. And the family celebrated like they've never celebrated before. They gave him a grand feast like he was a celebrity. And of course, in this whole time this is going on, the older brother was looking kind of side-eyed at all of this that was going on, saying, what is going on here? Here I am, faithful, obedient. I never got even a ticket for reckless horse driving. And he's feeling a certain way about this, and he's in his feelings. He's feeling resentful and angry and aggrieved and saying how unfair this is. And the father said to the son, you've always been with me. Everything I have is yours. We should be rejoicing. Your brother was dead to us, and now he's come back to life. He was lost, and now he is found. And that's the end of the story. But I think we can glean several lessons for us, for our world from this parable. You know, the prodigal, the younger son, I think represents that part of humanity that sometimes is attached to materialism, that seeks to get external validation, seeks to get affirmation, seeks to get love outside of themselves. And so sometimes when that happens, we get lured to the far country and believe that's where the action is, and this will bring us somehow satisfaction. And I thought about a group of students that, you know, they graduated from a very prestigious business school, and they came together after 15 years of graduating and, you know, having their reunion. And of course, when they graduated, you know, they were destined, you know, for nothing but prosperity and blissful days, and by all objective measures, they did have that abundance and that apparent euphoria, and that became their reality. They had success that was probably never achieved by many other people. They were the elite of the elite, and most of them lacked nothing. But it pointed in this study that, you know, several of them were unhappy. And the reason they were unhappy is that they made a lot of external success and acquisition, and they made that the object of their existence. But what they discovered spiritually, that whenever we seek to get satisfaction or fulfillment from anything outside of ourselves, anything that external, whatever follows that is usually dissatisfaction. And the master teacher Jesus refers to this sense of dissatisfaction when he talked to the woman at the well. And he said to her, you know, you can drink of this water, but you shall thirst again. And to put it another way, he was telling you can never get enough of something that you do not need in the external world. We can't really get external acquisition to give us satisfaction, because it's like chasing a feather in the wind. The more one swats after it, the more it eludes us, and satisfaction does not come. And I think I can relate to that story because, you know, I was seeking to get a lot of fulfillment in my earlier part of life, only to find it was giving me dissatisfaction. And I didn't get that sense of fulfillment. I had my own riotous living, and my life imploded. Everything I thought was important disappeared. I didn't have to feed the hogs for a living, thank God. But I had reached a low point before having my own wake-up call and beginning to see the light. And I thought about the time, I don't know if you ever saw the Blues Brothers and John Belushi's character, and he's in the back of the church, and suddenly he said, I can see the light. And many of us sometimes have to go through our own prodigal stage at some point or another in order for us to see the light. And maybe it's a necessary step in our own personal growth where we have to go into the far country in order to grow back into the awareness that we are always one with the source. We're always one with the presence. We are always one with Abba. Because everything flows from that, and there's really no separation from that other than our own minds. And so this brings us to the father in the parable and his response to his son. His response is one of compassion. His response is one of without judgment. And it symbolizes that unconditional loving presence that is within and around all of us, that unconditional positive regard. Someone once told me that God does not love me for who I am, that I am because God loves me. God loves us. This presence loves us. Therefore, that's why we exist. And this presence cannot change up on us. And that's why I believe Meister Eckhart said something to the effect, I don't have to thank God for loving me because God can't help itself. That's just the nature of it. It can't do anything else. So in the parable, the Father stands for that unmoved presence that's not moved by any negative things that the prodigal thought he had done to his life. And it symbolizes the stability and ever availability of the presence that is not only around us, but is also within us. We just have to bring it out. And it's forever, always, and everywhere present. And, you know, we realize that our so-called mistakes are temporary. But this presence, this loving presence, is here forever, always expressing this love. So when we do that, we can release this thought of what people call the ultimate mistake or the original sin, which is often used abusively against people. People say, oh, is this some original sin? I said, man, please give me a break. We've been fooled for thousands of years that there's some sort of original sin. You know, they don't know where it came from. They just know it's original. It happened so long ago. And, you know, if that's the case, we just give up then. But there is no original sin. If God is all that there is, and God is all that there is, if God is love, and yes, God is love, if everything that there is the manifestation from the only thing that there is, there's no room for so-called original sin. There's only room for an original blessing. That's who we are. There's a blessing that we are made in the image and likeness of this presence. And absolutely nothing can stop that truth or separate us from that truth, that the power and the presence and the love of God is with us always. Now, we can frustrate it. We can slow it down. I always say that, you know, another word for sin is simply self-inflicted nonsense. Nobody's doing it to us. We're doing it to ourselves. But when we come to ourselves and we wake up, like that prodigal son, we come on back home. We come into the realization of our oneness with this loving presence. And when we turn away from the belief of separation and embrace that oneness, the very hills clap their hands with joy. And then there's the older brother. He stayed home. He was faithful. He worked in his father's fields, and he's saying to himself and all those who would listen, I did all the right things. I sacrificed. I never strayed. And here's this dude over here. He's nowhere around doing the work. I'm doing it all myself. He blows all of his money on a life of debauchery. He sullies our family name, and they end up giving him the best clothes. They give him a big ring for his finger. He's had some designer sandals on now on his feet. We throw him a feast now with the most expensive food that I helped grow. You never threw a party for me. I'm the good one. There's something wrong with this picture, he's saying, and I don't like it. And so the older brother radiated a sense of jealousy and raged with anger. But here's the thing. While he did not go off into the far country, you know, like his brother did, he did go to a sense of separation. He left his sense of oneness because he was in bondage and to obligation. He was a servant to a limited consciousness himself. See, by his jealousy, he indicated that at heart, he is also a prodigal, and probably secretly, he really wanted to do the same thing his brother did, but he didn't have the courage to step out of his comfort zone. So beyond the facade of respectability, he was bitter, he was cynical. And so he had his own transformation that he had to go through in order to realize his oneness with the presence, his oneness with the force. And I think when we hold energy of anger or envy, we block the flow of our good in our life. You know, there's a statement in one of the scriptures, Romans 8, the second verse, that we're here to be set free by the law of spirit from the law of sin and death. And people say, well, what does that mean? I said, the law of spirit says that if one is blessed, it benefits everybody. And the law of sin and death says that what one gains, somebody else has to lose. But we have to train ourselves that whenever we hear good, we have to practice rejoicing in somebody else's good. I've always realized that whatever energy we give out, we're keeping. So I think to realize our potential as children of the divine presence, we must activate the law of spirit that says that if one is blessed, all are blessed. And it takes sometimes a modicum of training to get, removed from this self-inflicted nonsense, this sense of separation. Because we need to realize that whenever somebody around us is lifted up, we're all lifted up because we are one in the spirit. We're interconnected on a spiritual level, a soul level. So, sometimes we cross paths with someone that, we may not even on the spiritual level, on a human level, I should say. We can't stand that other person. And we may hear some good fortune happen to that person or bestowed upon them, rather than say, how did that happen to them and not me? We have to somehow muster up the energy to say, and it may be hard, just to spout it out. Congratulations. Bless you. You got to do it anyway. Because we want to be soldiers of affirmations. We want to affirm and declare the only positive qualities of the Spirit. So no negative or below the line energy shows up in our life. We want to be in alignment with our oneness with God, the goodness of God, the awesomeness of God, the dreams of our heart. As I said, this is a theology of joy and upliftment. As someone once told me that if you don't have a God of joy, you got the wrong God. Time to get a new God. So it's Father's Day. And if we had the benefit of an earthly father that served us as a positive figure in our life, then we say, great. If not, then we forgive them and take whatever they gave and build upon it as a stepping stone to remember that statement from Jesus that don't call anyone on earth your real father. You have one presence, one power that is your true parent. So we go to that invisible realm. We go to where the original parent is. We open up our heart and throw ourselves wide open to it. The Spirit of God, the force, this love intelligence that governs our universe is sending us unchanging love. It's sending us an eternal message that says to us, I know who you are. You are the delight of God, brought up before all the creations of the world. There's nothing that you can do that can stop me from loving you, supporting you, encouraging you to be the very best that you can be. But maybe we had to go out to the far country for a while so we can grow back into the awareness of our oneness with the all good. Sometimes we may have to lose what we thought was important to realize that we had everything that was important all of the time. So we don't want to be afraid to meet the presence of God. Even after we've gone off to the far country, the Father God presence is saying, come on home. Because we know that this presence has not moved. God has not moved. We may have moved from God because God is probably saying, I'm waiting. We were late. It'll be all right when they get here. For it's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, the ever-expanding good, in order to get back into our feeling of oneness. We must come to ourselves. We know that God can do no more for us than we allow this presence to do through us. Because we know that this Spirit of the living God, this force, this presence cannot make us healthy, cannot make us happy, cannot make us prosperous unless we let God be God in us. So like that prodigal son, we come to ourselves and we come on home and we feel that joy. We feel that joy that is there all of the time. And it's in this spirit I say happy Father's Day. Peace and blessings to you. Well, next week we have a special guest speaker. Many Charles Holt. He's going to talk about Here's to Life, Finding My Groove. And, just a little bit, he's going to talk a little bit more about his journey, but, he had moved back to New York after being away for almost 20 years. After the pandemic, he came back, and he had removed himself from all the things he knew about being on Broadway, all the people that he knew, and he was trying to start and create a second act for himself. But he struggled to find his footing and his groove for what he loved. And he began to question his path and asked himself, how do I move forward to rediscover my purpose? So anyway, he's a brilliant singer. I think he's going to sing as well as give us a talk because he's been on Broadway. He was in Smokey Joe's Cafe, Jesus Christ Superstar, and he also was in Lion King. So he had to be really, really good. So we have the benefit of having his presence here next week, so I invite you to be part of that. So Charles Holt is going to be here. And at this point, I like anyone who wants prayer from the chaplains. They're available to pray with you right after the service in the courtyard. They wear the white stoles. We appreciate the consciousness that they bring. And also, if anyone's here for the very first time, any first-timers here today? I think I see all familiar faces. So we appreciate your presence. And as I always say, that if you're a little better today than you were yesterday, or maybe a little better now before you came to service, then you're a new person right here and right now. So we thank you for your newness. At this time, I invite those who are maybe watching online, either as we're doing it live or as a replay, if you want to support Spiritual Life Center, you can do so and send us your financial support by texting SLC Love to 44321, or go to our website, slcworld.org. Go to the Donate tab, and you can give in other ways, including by mail. And so we appreciate those who are anywhere on the planet that are part of just joining in this consciousness of transformation that's taking place at this most important time in history. For those who are present, I invite you to take your gift or your love offering and symbolically raise it to the gods, the heavens of expanding good. And if you've given already by mail or electronically, know that you're in the flow of a presence that says that whatever you give out comes back to us in so many different ways. And so with that awareness, let's just together affirm and take in the words of our offertory blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. In the kingdom of love, there is no competition, no contradiction, and no control. But you can take possession, claim your passion, working on a building that cannot be bought or sold. We're living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. We're living in the house of the soul's belonging, coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. We'll step into the feeling of sweet surrender. Let yourself remember who you are. You can take your own sweet time and ease your troubled mind in the secret sanctuary of your heart, where we're living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. the soul's belonging. Well, you know without a doubt that you made it home. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, yeah. Or coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. You're coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. Yeah, you're coming back to the holy ground that you've always known.
John Gardner.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Very much. Well, we take this time to bless those who have blessed us with their gifts of their offering. Knowing they're supporting a community that is here for those who wish to remember the truth of who and what they are as wonderful expressions of the Spirit of the living God. And we also bless those who have left their prayers in the prayer box, whether today or throughout the week. For we remember that we all have challenges and bumps in the road in this thing called life. Yet we know that when we reach those moments that we can turn to a presence, lean on a presence that is beyond words. It's invisible but more real than the chairs we sit in or the floor we stand on. And it's always seeking to bring forth the highest and best within us. And is able to take what appears to be a tombstone and turning into a stepping stone for greater good. So we let this presence have its way with us to guide us, direct us, uplift us, support us, and know that is always for us, no matter what we're going through or growing through. So we give thanks that we can allow this presence to recognize its oneness with us and with each other, to bring us to a point of wholeness and healing and understanding. And for this and so much more, we're grateful and thankful as we go forth, activating and manifesting the all good in our life and in our world. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Let's join together as we affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. I am. And all is well. Let's sing our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. With God as creator, family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin
blessings. Have a great week. Y'all doing any music? Yes. Yeah. Okay, some postlude music here if you want to hang around for some more joy.